I've spent my year in Tasmania on a mission to either grow my own food
Look at that.
or to buy it locally from producers who I know and trust.
It's very nice for eating.
Yeah.
It's good.
I'm finally getting close to my goal, but I'm not quite there yet. My name is Matthew Evans. I was Sydney's most feared food critic. Now, I've given up city life and moved here to country Tasmania. I've always dreamed of producing my own food so I can know and trust what I eat. The only problem is, I don't know how to chop wood, I don't know anything about growing plants, and I have absolutely no idea about rearing animals. But I do know how to eat. Everything else I'll have to learn from scratch. How hard can it be?
Chuk, 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 chuk. Just one lonely egg. They always lay in the most difficult corner. Look at that. So my girls have started laying. Only one egg so far today, but I get up to 5 or 6 on average, sometimes 8. So now I've got my eggs, and Maggie's giving me the milk, which I get cream, butter. I even made my own cheese. Had some veggies, and even got meat in my freezer from the farm. But the one thing, the one staple that I'm not actually producing myself is bread. I buy it in town, and I buy it in town because it's brilliant. But I'd really like to make my own. So what I need to do to make my own is get flour, local flour, hopefully, and get some local expertise. That's next.
I'm heading to the Central Highlands, just over an hour north of Hobart, in search of local flour. You wouldn't usually think of Tasmania as a wheat-growing region, but that's exactly what's happening right here. I'm here in Bothwell in the Central Highlands of Tasmania, and there's a guy that actually grows and grinds his own flour and grains in an old stone mill. I can't wait to see what he does.
Hey, G'day, Matthew.
Nice to see you.
Welcome to Thorpe Farm.
Thank you, mate. Thanks
Well,
for that.
this is our watermill.
Fantastic.
Will Bignell is a 7th-generation Tasmanian, and on his family property at Bothwell, there's a watermill that was built by convict labour in 1823. All these cogs and wheels make up the sort of machine that has stone-ground flour for centuries. But these days it's just for show.
How's the mill? So that's the engine.
Apparently, we'll be milling with more modern technology.
Drives these cogs here.
But first, we'll need some grain.
Okay, Matthew, so this is the granary. Come up in.
Thanks,
We're up off the ground so the mice can't get in here.
Well, what I'm interested in mostly is I want it to be local.
Yep.
I want it to be grown locally, ground locally.
So that's some wheat there, Matthew.
That's wheat.
We'll open this bag up, we can take it and mill some.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Got it?
Yep.
These days, the milling is done in this electric mill.
So how old is this one?
100-something years old.
But just like the old water mill, this one stone grinds the flour. I prefer stone ground flour to the more common steel rolled flour because it doesn't get as hot in the process and tears the grain differently, so it holds on to more of its flavour.
Here we go.
It smells great. Yeah.
It's not bleached, doesn't hurt your nostrils.
It's a normal flour's bleach.
Yes, yeah, to make it nice and white. So that's everything.
Yeah. Really nice.
Yeah, the whole grain in there.
Will reckons this isn't the best grain for bread, but I'm so excited to have a local flour that I've just got to give it a go. Best thing about country living
So I'll swap you this for a bit of bacon, Matthew.
is the barter economy.
All right. Next time I've got some bacon. And your old man made the stencil.
Yeah, Dad made this by hand when he was my age. Mate.
Fantastic.
Now all I need is a bread making lesson. But on the way, I know where I can pick up another local staple. Olive oil. And I've heard an Italian couple, the Minucci's, were the first people to produce olive oil in Tasmania.
This one is for...
Now both in their 80s, Attilio and Vera are still at it.
You see that olive is full of the olive.
Yeah.
And now it's time to pick. This is the way they've been picking before.
So you've been picking like this since you were 5?
Since I was 5. When I was 13, I went to work with my oldest brother, picking the olive and crushing for about 4 years.
How long have you been in Australia then?
I've been in Tasmania,
Yeah.
arrived 19th of May, 52.
1952. So when you came, olive oil would have just been used as medicine
Yeah,
in Australia.
yeah,
They wouldn't have eaten it, would they?
No, I usually buy. They usually give it to the lady when they get the baby. We usually cook with it.
The Minucci's solution was to plant their own olive grove some 25 years back, and they cold pressed their first oil 8 years later.
Since they made my oil, I never look back.
This must take hours to pick a...
Look, I made you get in one go. Look,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Look here. See?
She's my
It's
wife,
easy.
she's an expert.
She's much quicker than you.
Yeah.
You might make good oil, but I think you
won't be
need her to
long.
pick them.
Apparently, I'm not quite fast enough, so they'll get the extended family in to help with the harvest on the weekend. On a good year, they get about 25 kilos of olives from each of their 300 trees. That's more than 7 tonnes,
And it's a hydraulic press?
all of which is crushed on site in this beast of a machine.
It goes up.
So that goes up,
That
and
goes up.
the oil just comes through here.
The oil coming here,
Down
come
through that
out
hole.
there.
Lucky for me, there's a little left over from last year's pressing.
Look at the colour. That's amazing. So much flavour.
No wonder they can charge $90 a litre. At that price, I can only afford a couple of bottles, but perhaps I'll be able to trade one for a baking lesson.
How'd you get it off?
I'm not expecting us to get a typical big baker's loaf of bread out of this.
I'm back on the road and heading to Oatlands. I'm hoping to trade some of my expensive Minucci olive oil for tips on making bread with my local stone ground flour from artisan baker Graham Pritchard.
I've got the flour.
From Bothwell.
Yeah, good Tassie stuff. I want you to tell me what you think of it.
So I haven't tried the Bothwell flour before. I've heard that in Tasmania it is very hard to grow a strong grain. Now this is actually wheat flour, and just by feeling it, you can actually feel that it's soft. And
Is that from the grinding process, or is that the actual wheat?
No, it's actually the wheat itself. I mean, the wheat itself is actually a soft wheat.
It turns out it really is the wrong flour for baking bread. What bakers want is hard flour, which has lots of gluten. My Bothwell flour is the complete opposite, partly because of the variety, but also because it's grown in a cooler climate.
So gluten's the thing that actually holds up bread. It's the
Exactly.
protein that... So if you want a really puffy, light, airy
Yes.
bread,
Yeah.
you need lots of gluten.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
But Graham suggests we give it a go anyway. You never know your luck.
I'm not expecting us to get a typical big baker's loaf of bread out of this.
We may well end up making a Bothwell brick, but whatever we make, it's not going to be a conventional loaf, because instead of yeast from a packet, Graham is using a sourdough mother.
Sourdough basically is when you mix flour and water together, and that flour and water spontaneously ferments.
The mixture is simply left in the open air, and wild yeast and bacteria float in on the breeze.
Initially it took us a couple of weeks to get it going, but now every single day we refresh it. We simply add fresh flour, fresh water, and it starts to bubble and froth and ferment. And just
A good sourdough mother can be kept alive for centuries, passed on from generation to generation. A little of this ferment goes into every loaf, and that's what rises the bread.
There we go. So literally what you're doing here, you're actually spreading that yeast and bacteria all through the dough to inoculate the dough. So basically you're just stretching the dough and folding it over and giving it a quarter turn.
I'll give it a go.
Okay. Now that's it.
Oh, how'd you get it off? Oh, that was better. This is a remarkable thing. It's really, really sticky dough compared to any bread I've made before. But it's, I really love this technique. Don't know why. Pent up anger and frustration, I guess.
As well as my Bothwell brick, Graham suggests making a couple of different loaves for comparison.
What I think we'll do with another dough is a bit of an experiment.
So we'll make up some loaves from a mix of my soft flour and some hard Queensland flour, which is higher in gluten and should give a nice risen loaf. We'll try a half and half loaf, and also an 80-20, mostly the high gluten flour with just a dash of Tassie flour for flavour.
So that's perfect.
Once mixed, the doughs need a few hours to rise before we can get them into a very hot oven.
Hey! Beautiful. Look at that. Okay, that's great. Okay, that's one. Okay, let's put the door on.
So hot, in fact, that they only need 25 minutes. And we can finally compare our loaves.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's good. This is the 80-20,
Yep.
which we'll just put here like this.
So that's risen the most.
This one here is half Bothwell flour.
How can I tell they're cooked, by the way?
Okay. Well, baked, remember, with bread.
Oh,
Always
baked. Oh, yeah.
That, excuse me.
So that sound?
That hollow sound
Hollow
is the sound.
Okay.
Because if that was still wet inside,
Yep.
it would be a really dull thud.
100%?
I wouldn't call that a Bothwell brick. Okay, I
Because it's
wouldn't.
the wrong shape.
But there's no test like a taste test.
There we go.
Sure.
First, the 80-20.
That olive oil's incredible. Actually, the crust on this is really nice. The loaf.
That's fantastic.
Then the half and half.
The local flour has actually, the flavours have just gone right through it.
And finally, our pure Tasmanian wholemeal.
Possibly the texture's not quite... I'm not in love with it as much as the in-between one.
What we basically got here with this Bothwell flour loaf is something that's heavier.
Yeah.
It's really not suited for a free-from loaf.
That's not good news for my sourdough baking aspirations. And now I've got 20 kilos of flour to use up.
Is there something else I can use it for? Is there...
Yeah, look, it's definitely performing like a cake flour. And if you were going to use it on its own, I would be looking at cakes and cookies, biscuits.
Yeah.
It's a beautifully sweet
Biscuits.
flour.
But before I can test my baking skills, spring is fast approaching. So I'd like to see about getting some bees.
I'm with Eve. He's the legendary local beekeeper. And I'm pretty keen to get some bees on the farm, so he's going to show me a hive and hopefully pick up a hive to take back to the farm. You don't sound like you've got a typical Tasmanian accent. So how long have you been...
I first came here in Tassie 10 years ago
10 years ago? Yeah.
and traveled, worked for a beekeeper, went back to France to do my beekeeping.
Yeah. Were you a beekeeper in France before?
Yeah, beekeeping in France before I came here for during 3 years.
Yep. Wow, look at that one. And the smoke just keeps them docile? Or?
Yeah, just keep them quiet.
Apparently, the smoke masks the bees' alarm pheromones. Exactly how, no one knows, but it's been done like this for centuries.
Eve's famous for the flavour of his honey. There's a lot of beekeepers in Tasmania doing amazing flavoured honeys, but I guess Eve is known for actually doing the most incredible pure flavoured honeys around, so I'm hoping I get something similar off my property.
At the end of summer, I'll get to keep half the honey. And the bees should also boost my little farm's productivity by pollinating all the flowering plants. Not a bad deal, really.
In the meantime, Eve's given me some honey. This stuff is actually set already, and this stuff's still a bit runny. And I've got this flour that Graham, the sourdough baker, reckons not great for bread, but should be fantastic for biscuits and cakes. What I've got in mind is a really basic biscuit using all Tasmanian ingredients, so Tasmanian butter, this beautiful honey, and that great farm flour. Just melting it, really. Not too hot. It's thickening up now. There we go. And you can smell the leatherwood honey. It smells fantastic. You might have noticed I'm not a neat cook, and particularly with biscuits. I don't really mind if they're sort of free form. It's part of the joy of them. All right, bung them in the oven. They won't take long, I reckon 10 minutes. How many biscuits is too much for one person to eat? Should have made more. Nice snap. They're good. Now, the other thing that Graham was saying about this flour is it probably could be good for biscuits, but also good for cakes. And there's a lady in the paper of a possible 30 categories they could enter. Joe Tiller and Tamara Stanfield, each one 8. Instead of actually just making a cake myself, maybe I should go and see her. I bet she's got a few tips for me. Oh, the last paragraph says, a cup of tea without a biscuit is a missed opportunity. That's a nice thing. No opportunity missed here. I'm inordinately nervous. There's 5 expert bakers standing on the other side of the room about to judge our cakes.
It's a moment of truth for both of us.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I've tracked down Joe Tiller, the award-winning cake maker in Kingston, just south of Hobart.
We better dump that on the side.
No worries, I'll put it out of the way. I read in the paper that you're a legendary cake baker. That you're the woman who can teach me everything I need to know about baking.
Well, if I can give you a hint or two, by all means. But legend, I don't know.
I've got this flour, it's wholemeal.
Yeah.
And I've been told it's no good for bread, but it might be good for cakes.
It's not something I normally use, but give it a look.
Give it a go?
For goodness sake, give it a go.
I tell you what, I'll show you how to make my famous carrot cake using Bothwell flour if you show me how to make your award-winning fruit cake.
Bet mine's better than yours.
Absolutely no chance. I've got Tasmania's best olive oil, I've got Tasmanian flour, I won't use sugar, I'll use local honey, and I reckon we'll get independent judges,
Yeah,
someone to judge this.
Yeah.
I reckon I can beat you, hands down.
okay, you're on.
What am I doing? I've just challenged the master to a bake-off, but maybe I can pick up a few sneaky tips along the way.
So what ingredients are you using in yours?
Well, I've got butter and caster sugar in there, a mixture of self-raising and plain flours.
Oh, a mix.
These are the sultanas. And
Eggs, I see.
3 eggs.
You must love eating cake.
I don't actually.
No?
No, I'm not a great cake eater. I never have been. Once you've got your stuff creamed and added your eggs, you then gradually fold in your butter. Strictly speaking, your folding is that sort of action.
Yeah. And can you stir it too much?
I don't know.
You just stop when it's done.
I just do it when it's ready.
Looks like a lot of mix.
Not really.
No?
No. Okay. Yeah, you're doing exactly what my son David does.
How old's he?
57.
So it doesn't stop. I started when I was about 4, I think.
I'm just making a slight hollow.
Oh, yeah, so it rises evenly?
Yes, that's their general idea.
Well, you've made a cake, and I've just grated some carrots, so I'm
Yes.
behind.
Well, that's all right. And so then that goes into a preheated oven.
All right. Well, you relax.
Yeah, I will.
I'll wash up.
I've done my bit.
A tough act to follow. But I'll see your fruitcake, Joe, and I'll raise you a carrot and walnut cake using my local ingredients.
I'm still, shall I say, a little bit sceptical.
Now, who are we going to get to judge this?
The CWA would probably do something of that nature. What oven do you need for yours?
I'll go with you.
Okay,
Whatever you need.
so my...
I'll give you that advantage.
All
I
right.
reckon you need it.
Oh, you do you? Well, we'll have to wait and see what the end result's like. That, to me, looks an awful sloppy mixture, but we will see what the end result turns out like.
Is that too much for the tin, you reckon? Should be pretty heavy.
You're making it. I still wonder.
And I reckon you're right. I reckon all the walnuts have gone straight to the bottom because this is so runny. So you've got 44 minutes left. Just enough time for about 3 cups of tea, I reckon.
You want me, in other words, you'd like me to put the jug on?
No, I can do that.
Okay.
3 cups of tea later, and our cakes are ready.
Here we are. Are you happy with yours?
I'm pretty happy. It's got a bit dodgy at the top, but I'm going to ice mine. Cream cheese icing. I mean, that's the reason why you make carrot cake, isn't it? Just
Yes,
cream
yes,
cheese.
cream cheese icing.
Yeah.
Orange flavour?
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
But I must admit,
I'll just put more
it
icing
looks
on
a darn sight better than I thought it was going to be.
You thought it'd come out like sort of a biscuit?
Well, I didn't know quite what to expect.
You know what the proof will be?
The proof of the pudding is in the eating, they always say.
Exactly. I like the idea of the CWA ladies.
Yes.
They'd know a cake when they saw it, a good cake when they saw it.
Oh, yes.
Isn't she great?
It's judgment day for my little cake, and I've come into Hobart to meet the toughest critics around. Joe's very kindly organised the ladies at the CWA to do a bit of a taste-off, blind tasting, see who's got a better cake. I've actually iced mine though, bit of a secret thing. And I've always wanted to be in the CWA, so I'm hoping this is my chance for a foot in the door. If I'm lucky, I might get to sell my cakes from the shop.
G'day.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm Matthew.
Hi, Matthew.
I was wondering if I brought my cake in. I'm supposed to be doing a bit of a taste-off with Jo. Is she here?
She's not here yet. She shouldn't be far away.
The CWA shop is a Tassie institution, full of jams, preserves and all things knitted. But my favourites are the delicious handmade cakes and biscuits.
These are fantastic. They've all got a number on, and I've heard that you don't actually know who's baked the cakes here.
No. Every member has their own unique number.
And what do the numbers mean? Who's baked
Yeah,
something?
that's their number for life and doesn't change, and no one else has it. Wow, that looks good. This is going to be an interesting test. To make this test fair, Matthew, I think we'll give you a number so the ladies don't know what's going on. There we are, 474.
Great. Well, that's the cake with the number on. I reckon I've got a very slim chance of beating the grand champion from the Hobart show.
But I do have my own number, so I'm one step closer to my ultimate goal of joining the CWA.
Hi, Matthew.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, not bad, not bad.
Your cake got here safely?
Yes.
I'm pretty impressed with mine. I reckon
Right.
I'm a good chance. What do you reckon? You feeling confident still?
I'm still confident.
But there's no time for chit-chat. The women of the CWA are here to judge our cakes.
Now we've got 2 cakes for you to try.
I'm inordinately nervous. There's 5 expert bakers standing on the other side of the room about to judge our cakes.
It's the moment of truth for both of us.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Okie doke, so we'll
First up, Joe's Sultana cake.
find we will.
Okay, go for it.
Nice, nice.
Nice. Moist.
Moist. That was very nice.
Very nice.
I could almost go another piece. It's not crumbly, it's not dry, it's just nice and moist.
No criticism.
No, none at all. The sultanas are evenly spread all through the cake. They haven't sunk to the bottom.
And a great review from the ladies. It's going to be hard to top that.
Move on to the carrot cake.
Thank you.
Looks very moist.
Does, doesn't it?
Is it too moist?
No. Very nice. More than very nice. That's nice too. That is.
Okay, ladies. Decision time. Who's it going to be?
But the ladies have other ideas.
It was very hard to decide.
Because that's a sultana cake and the other one is a carrot cake.
They're different types of cake.
Yeah. If it's a case of what cake you want to keep for what length of time, the sultana cake will keep longer against the carrot cake.
Yeah, and I'm
But I like
I'm
it,
a fruit
yes.
cake person, I'm not a carrot cake person. But they're both nice cakes.
They don't want to compare such different cakes.
Yes.
2 completely different cakes.
Yeah, two totally different types of cake.
But far more important than winning or losing is eating. And now, with some cake cred under my belt, maybe I can fulfil a lifelong dream.
Now, what I want to know, with a cake like that, do you reckon I'd be allowed to join the CWA? There wouldn't be any drama with that, would there?
Sorry, we'd love to have you, but it is women only.
I couldn't be an honorary member or a associate member or... No, not at all.
No, it is
I
women
can...
only.
I guess the clue's in the name, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. What an experience that was. 5 expert cake bakers judging my cake. To be honest, I think Joe's was a much better cake on the day. Seems it doesn't matter how good your cake is, though. If you're a bloke, you can't join the CWA.
Next time, trying to save my little garden from ravenous possums.
Can't believe we got this whole thing actually done in a day.
And a celebration of my first year in Tasmania. as life on the farm comes full circle.
I had so much success with the first pigs and I fell so much in love with them, I've decided to double the numbers. Hey, you're fat.